I was just checking.
Are we almost ready? The intro?
Intro is starting.
Good morning, McDowell, and welcome to the first edition of our new Friday show, Trojans Today. This show will be featuring multiple news and entertainment stories created and submitted by McDowell journalists. Starting off this week, we are featuring our McDowell cheer team who performed last week at the football game against St. Edward's. While many students across the region were enjoying the last few moments of summer, the McDowell co-ed cheer team was already hard at work. On August 11th, the cheer team was visited by Ben Schreiber, the Ohio State University cheer coach. Between 3 to 5 times a year, Schreiber goes to high schools to recruit students for his NCAA teams. This year was the first year that he came to Erie to visit McDowell. Schreiber said that having a co-ed team of McDowell's size and talent in this area is rare. He said it's not as popular as it is in the South. Here at McDowell, many students play multiple sports besides cheer, such as football and baseball, which is another reason why Schreiber picked McDowell to come and visit. During their workshop with Schreiber, the cheerleaders got to learn new techniques for both the male and female positions during the lift or stunt. McDowell cheer captain Piper Schuler found this time beneficial. Schuler said she learned a lot of new skills and proper techniques so that these skills could be mastered perfectly to look nice, clean, and sharp. Alex Tata wants to cheer in college, and learning from the Ohio State coach gave him more exposure to the sport at a college level. The cheer team still has a lot of stunts to practice before they try to maintain their state champion title for the year, but the team hopes that this special training will help them come out on top. Thanks to Jade Burns for covering this story. Next up, we have Sammy Deifel and Izzy Southard in the halls of McDowell asking students how they feel about the later start time here at McDowell. Sammy, take it away.
I'm Sammy Deifel reporting for the Trojan Today. Here at McDowell, we're experiencing some mixed feelings about this year's start time. Let's hear what some of our classmates have to say about it. What do you think of the new time change this year?
I like it. Instead of like the time last year, it's really easy to wake up in the morning. The only thing I don't like about it is just how late we get out. Otherwise, I like it.
I don't like it because I don't like getting out later, and it messes up sports. Like, we don't have as much time to practice, and our practices run longer, and I liked it better when we got out of school earlier and had more time to do our homework after school.
I like it, but I don't like it because I get to sleep in, but then again, like, we get out later, so I don't like going home at like 3 o'clock.
I like the new start time. It gives me a chance to get my kids to daycare in the morning because they don't open till 7 o'clock. So it was a little bit tougher last year, so it's been easier for my family and myself. Though we'll see what happens when we start rehearsals for all of our after-school productions, because that might change things a little bit. But overall, I like it so far.
What do you think of the time change from middle school to McDowell?
There wasn't that much of a time change from middle school to McDowell because US started at about 8 o'clock, and this year it starts at 7:50. So it's just a little bit earlier, but it's not too bad, and I prefer it later than way earlier because I'm not a morning person.
Being upperclassmen, what do you think of the new start time for the school year?
I don't think it's that much of a difference. Like, it's still just a half an hour difference, so I still get up at the same time and everything.
Well, for me, it's a better change into it because you can get up more later than the actual time than last year.
From a teacher's perspective, what do you think of the new time change?
It actually helps me a lot because I have a little one at home, so I get to kind of wake up with my daughter and then come to school, and most of you are actually a little bit more awake, so it does help us. However, you're here longer, so some of you don't like that. So for me, I like it, but I guess that's my opinion.
Well, you heard it here, McDowell. Some people like it, some people don't. To some people, it doesn't really matter. It's up to you.
Thank you, Izzy and Sammy. In other McDowell news, Tuesday activity periods are a thing of the past this year. List of student clubs will be available from tutorial teachers next week. Informational meetings on specific clubs will begin the week of September 11th, and students will need to sign up to be in a club that week. Each club will have its own application process, so stay tuned in the tutorial for those details. Up next is a story many of you have already heard, but continues a week later. The destruction of Hurricane Harvey has moved from Texas to Louisiana, leaving severe flooding and chaos behind. But how much do you know about what's being done to fight that? As you may have heard, donations are flowing into local authorities and organizations to help with the costs of rescue, relief, and other basic needs, such as food and water. One of the biggest known organizations is the American Red Cross, which has been a major part of the relief efforts. Last night, Jet 24 Action News hosted a live telethon for callers to donate money to the American Red Cross. The local community donated $37,000 in total. According to Sports Illustrated, some of additional famous donors, including Houston Astons donating $4 million, including the Houston Texans donating $1 million, and defensive end J.J. Watt, his relief fund, has reached over $10 million. In addition to the monetary donations, many volunteers have been traveling to Texas with whatever they have and can offer. In particular, as seen in this image, locals and folks from out of state are bringing their own personal boats to aid in search and rescue. This picture from the Star-Telegram shows a local interstate which has been used as a boat launch for people who brought their own vessels. Stay tuned to your local and national news stations for continued update on the relief efforts in the South. Lastly, don't forget we have a 3-day weekend ahead of us, but do you really know what Labor Day is all about? Here's Sophia DePlacido with a History Minute about our national holiday.
Thank you, Josh. This Monday marks the first 3-day weekend of the school year due to Labor Day. But what exactly are we celebrating? While the holiday was made official in 1894, the first Labor Day parade was in New York City in 1882. Almost 10,000 workers marched to Union Square to protest unsafe working conditions common in the Industrial Revolution. Today, the Labor Day parade still marches on the first Monday of September. The day officially became a holiday in 1894 with a labor protest called the Pullman Strike. The union workers for the railroads went on strike, shutting down most of Chicago's transportation. The government brought in army troops to restore the order, but unfortunately, the riot turned violent, which resulted in the fatalities of dozens of railroad workers. After the strike, President Grover Cleveland attempted to mend relations with the labor groups by establishing Labor Day as a national holiday on June 28, 1984. Labor Day marks the end of summer for most people and the start of football season for others. No matter what Labor Day means to you, enjoy your long weekend, McDowell.
Thank you, Sophia. That is all we have for our first edition of Trojans Today. We hope you enjoyed our show, and don't forget to enjoy your extra long weekend. We will see you all next week. Broadcasting from the basement of McDowell High School, I'm Josh Robaugh, and this has been Trojan News Network.